Welcome, colleagues, to the Planning and Environmental Committee of Crewe Town Council on the 17th of March 2025. Do we have any apologies for absence?
Councillor Mortimer.
To note declarations of members' interest in the agenda that was sent out. Does anybody have any interest clause-wise in that agenda? Alan?
I mean, only the fact that I'm a borough councillor, and towards the end we're going to consider trying to, it's about, for instance, item number 9, correspondence with Cheshire East and 10
right.
Conservation area. That I mean,
Okay, I'll note that when we get to it then. Thanks, Maureen. Okay, thank you. Item 3, can we confirm the minutes of the planning meeting that took place on the 10th of February? Can we have that as a true record?
Yeah.
Are we all okay with that?
Yeah.
I'll sign those minutes. Item 4 would be public participation. Do we have any members of the public here?
No.
Do you have any letters or correspondence?
None was already on the agenda.
Thank you. Okay, we normally would come to item 5, but as we've got some speakers here that want a presentation from the police, can I have your permission to move agenda item 8 to the next?
I moved it.
Okay, colleagues. Right, thank you. Right, it's over to your good selves if you'd like to share with us your vision of the future.
Okay. Well, I'll start then. Just to introduce myself, I'm Richard Purser. I'm from PlanRed, planning consultants on behalf of Wilmot Dixon, who's the contractor, and Cheshire Constabulary. And here is yourself.
My name's Hannah Payne. I'm planning manager and I sit in the estates team, Cheshire Constabulary. Ali Farjan, design manager for Wilmot Dixon for the construction project.
and Sergeant Jones on the beat sergeant for Crewe and Amfitch.
Okay, thank you.
So I hope you've had an opportunity at least to have just read through the briefing note that we passed on to you, have a look through. The basic project in front of you is the relocation of the the Crewe police station as it stands at the moment to create a new deployment base to the south of town, which you can see in the Basford East on your location map there. The reason to relocate is manifold. The police station is about 60 years old. It's coming to the end of its useful life, possibly even beyond. It has asbestos, it has problems with ventilation, has problems with heating and lighting. It doesn't work efficiently and effectively for the officers within the station. And the area around it is cramped in terms of keeping for vehicles. So they've been an operational requirement to find new premises, and I understand just chatting now with the officer here that it's been for many years, and much longer than I've been involved in this project, that's for sure. So the location at Basford East presents quite a lot of operational benefits. One of the key ones, it's on the actual main road network, so it's easier both to get back into Crewe onto the main roads, but also for the rest of the area now, which suburbs and to South Cheshire, which the local police unit actually covers. At the moment, within Crewe Town Centre, if a car has to deploy from there, it's a lot slower to get out of the traffic. I mean, just walking up to the station now to come to your meeting, it's quite clear that there are times where it just snarls up around the town centre. Whereas everywhere does have traffic problems at times, it is not as bad when you move out onto the main road network in any way, in comparison. So the proposals that you have in the pictures that sort of follow on there show you some pictures of the proposed layout, which shows siting of the building in the middle of the site, parking around it. The broad layout, there are rules from the Home Office in terms of how close a building can be to street edge. There has to be a sort of security distance set away for visibility. Obviously, it is a police station, so it will have fencing around for security and secure gates to enter and leave the premises. You'll notice there's quite a lot of parking around the building, and that's because it not only has to hold the parking for staff, but it also has parking for response vehicles as well. So also people may be coming to work, leaving their own vehicle, and then changing to a police vehicle. So you're getting some doubling up that you wouldn't necessarily see in a conventional office development. The building itself, which I hope comes onto the next slides. That's just a close-up of the area. Yeah, so the design is fairly fixed to what you see in these images. There will be some tweaks before it gets to submission. It's a two-storey office building. It will accommodate approximately 200 officers on site at any one time. There's about 300 people associated with the deployment centre because they work over shift work. I will in a second hand over to her because she can explain more about how the police actually operate from the centre. But it's designed for the capacity that it's required and for the turnover of the shifts. You can see in that picture green wall, and that will be the present towards David Whitby Way. And it houses a little bit of sort of back of our house, but it also provides part of the biodiversity net gain benefits of the proposal as well. The building's finished in the Cheshire brick. The colours have been sort of discussed with the Cheshire East Council officers, and it's selected to sort of reflect the brick colour of the local area. I'm not quite sure what colour you call that, but it's a light brown, I suppose you would say, slight reddish hue to it. So it has some detail, as you can see in the picture, and the next few images just show you the further elevations of it. The building is designed to meet latest standards. It will be designed to meet net zero carbon in operation. So that will obviously lower costs long term for the police, but it also means the building has passive ventilation and heating. It helps it make a much more pleasant environment for people working, and hopefully a more effective place for officers to work from. So that's the broad proposals for it. Perhaps if Hannah, you want to perhaps cover more of the operational side matters.
Yeah, the building is a two-storey functional building. We've looked at all the various departments that are based at Crewe. Certain departments are located adjacent to other departments, depending on whether they work closely together. We've got response who will be based on the ground floor for obvious reasons, because it's quicker and more efficient for them to get out of the building quickly. We've got a property store based there, along with a number of staff and officer-based functions and other departments. We won't, or we aren't intending on submitting floor plans detailing which departments are based here for confidentiality. Well, I mean, if anybody requires any additional information on what functions are located at the new base, we can discuss those with you.
As long as I don't see the inside of it, I don't really care. No offence, Molly.
There won't be any holding cells.
No cells.
No cells.
So we will be spending the night there then, Dennis.
So where are the cells then, okay?
Your notes, it's
Middlewich, yeah. So nobody, we don't bring anybody to the local station. Everybody goes to Middlewich if they're arrested anyway.
We'll have to walk on when they're at there.
Right.
Sorry.
So I don't know whether you wanted to now sort of move on to questions. There was probably just a couple of other points just to point out is in connection to just what you said there. This isn't a public facing facility here. So whilst there is I think it will be 4 visitor parking spaces created, you would only visit here if you were invited to come to the deployment centre, which, as people have pointed out before, is probably an invitation we don't want to have. And then as far as Crewe comes, the question then is what sort of customer facing facility will be left in the town centre. So there will still be a public office, Hannah, what's the current sort of position now?
So it's going to need a bit. Determination of planning application once it's submitted to Cheshire Council. So we'll see how that goes. But we have had a number of thoughts. We've got a number of issues about retaining a police presence in the town centre and what that may look like. So that at this moment in time, we don't know exactly what that will look like, but we've explored a number of options, including looking at entering into a lease on a shopfront type facility. So that may look like a help desk and providing a base for circa 10 neighbourhood officers who will be based there, maybe occupying the space within an existing council office space, or sharing the space with another retail commercial operator within the town centre. But yeah, once the application progresses, we can share those options and
Yeah, I think a lot. I mean, the application you've got there. I mean, the outline of that will change once you put you put your planning application into Cheshire East. I think from a perspective of us town councillors, because that will be. I mean, let's be fair. That's on the border between Crewe and Weston and True Hall, you name it. We'd be more concerned about the town centre and that people, because you clearly put in your presentation there that it's not a public building, so we can't pop up. I can't get on my bike and pop up and go to there, can I? Because it's not. It's highly secure. It's protected, as all police stations are these days. So we really is the question is it's a necessity that there is a sufficiently a public building in Crewe town centre. Now I've looked at over the years as this was muted that we're going to, you've got to get out of here because it's wrapped and you name it, it's got all sorts. And I've looked at nothing more than a Doctor Who police box. I've looked at what is not much bigger than a burger van. All these are in the town centres. I'm not making this up. I've done some research. I don't want that. I don't think this council wants that. What we want is a proper professional, as you committed here. You committed to retaining an accessible presence in the town centre, and you're going to house at least circa 10 neighbourhood police, neighbourhood, which we actually probably have to spend more time with than we do with the police, because they're knocking about. So it's imperative that you get a professional base in the town centre. And I think if anything, and the council speaking myself, I think if anything, that would be our one thing that we would look in all at, because you'll have a lovely place up there, let's be honest. You're really great, but you're leaving us if you don't have something here. And some people would say, oh, the police they're still here, because we need to see you, don't we? Because that's one of the criticisms of the police, we never see you. So no, let's have it right, So we want to see you in the sense if we have to go and actually in this town centre. So that's the own message. That's for me. If my colleagues agree with that or not, that's feel free to know. But I do think that's what we think.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say on behalf of the council that visual policing is a key priority. I'm sure it is within Cheshire Constabulary as well, and it will be a significant priority of this council to look forward to the detail of that presence, that physical and visual presence in the town centre. And we await that detail because we haven't got it yet. I understand you haven't got it. That's going to cause us a jarring issue because what we're seeing is a removal of a visual policing element and no provision detailed out yet. Okay, so that's going to cause a jarring issue. On a different technical, more planning thing, if I could ask a question, please. Yeah. On on this plan, it seems, and I'm sorry if I've misinterpreted, that the access and egress to the site is onto a residential street, not onto David Whitby Way.
Yes, that's right. It's called Mill Farm Lane, the new road that's going in there. And there will be residential development to the other side of it in the future. Yes.
Yeah. Is there a reason we're not going out onto David Whitby Way? Because it seems a sort of a juxtaposition where they send emergency traffic up and down a residential street.
It is something that has been looked at, and the questions were raised previously. But when you come out at the corner where you've got a potential to come out to David Whitby there, is it because it's a dual carriageway? You can only exit northbound. It also has to be a slip access on to get onto there for safety for a car to join at any speed. So operationally, it takes quite a lot of land as a complex sort of junction to build in. There's a second complication that the council wants to put in a pedestrian crossing just northbound of that, which would then conflict with the slip coming on. And then also operationally, because it sends cars the other way around. But one of the other issues that it raises is noise. Because to enter onto the main highway, the blue lights of the cars are activated for a safety reason by an officer. I've had this explained to me now. And it's not used routinely. So if you're going onto a quieter road, the chances are they're less likely to use their actual lights and sirens. There's no other road used to warn. But if you're coming onto a main road, there's almost certainly more likely to be a likelihood of cars moving at speed, and therefore you have to warn coming on. And therefore there's be more actual noise and activation. So all of these things balanced together, it was considered that this operational side works better for the
A little bit of a challenge there, maybe the officer can correct me. I understood once called out to emergency lights have to be on. So that's an irrelevance in that planning term. So that but immediately on an emergency lights have to be on. So whether on a residential street or a main road, they will be on. So that's the siren is the option, and there are regulations and guidance to when they put the siren on. But I'm asking the question because obviously when this comes to planning, we're looking in a planning context, and the traffic management is part of that. I get that you've got to go to around and turn around. There's an operational discussion that you must have had. But I imagine that the highways department can move a crossing that they haven't built yet, because that's a drawing. And also, I would imagine members might have a concern. I'm not trying to speak for you. If we're running blue lights up and down a brand new residential street, I think the two might be a planning conflict in that context.
Well,
you may not have the answer to that. I'm not asking for that. I'm just
no. It is an issue. It's live issues being discussed. Just on that blue light running issue, you have looked at the current use of the Crewtown Centre, so to give a comparison on what's.
Yeah, so we've looked at the telematics data, which basically records when officers get in the car, get out of the car, when they use the blue lights and sirens. And for the existing station at Crewe, telematics data has recorded 10 blue light siren activations over a 24-hour period on average each day for the last 6 months. So 10 over a period of 24 hours is quite a low number in the context of how many responses our officers get called out to.
It's not very clever if you're on nights living in one of those houses.
10 on a residential street is a bit high.
Well, I mean, most of our stations, climate based.
Winsford's not a residential road.
Don't deploy from there though, do we? That's
No.
Fair enough. Okay, sorry.
yeah. They're normally like Warrington, and
Yeah.
it's not local police, and it's our main headquarters. We don't pretend, apart from like firearms, we don't attend emergencies from.
Sorry.
Noah?
Yes, I'm just thinking of the timescales, because what about the other housing that's going to be built? I'm wondering the planning application for that, is it going to come before this or afterwards? I've got an impression it will.
The housing that's there on that plan, that's consented house, that's a Taylor Wimpey scheme, but it's going to be a later build phase for there.
So they're already building there. And
But to the north, yeah,
Yeah.
but it's part of their later phase.
Because you know, like others have said, I'm concerned about residential areas where you've got children may well be out in the roads unsupervised, you know, at a reasonable age, and people setting off from their cars in a housing area. I mean, I think it'd be worse if there wasn't a sign or whatever it's called. Because I mean, we're in a built-up area in Cruz here, and many of us either currently or previously live in the terraces around, and you can hear a police emergency vehicle coming, and you probably just stop and wait to see what's happening. Whereas flashing lights, you won't see until they're very close to you. But I think that seems to me a conflict between being close to a residential area and certainly emergency vehicles emerging onto a residential area.
Good point.
I mean, the other thing that we've sort of looked at and looking at, you know, how things operate it currently, is that not all call-outs come directly from the deployment base or police station in this case, because officers may still be on the network already, responded to one incident and then moved to another incident without returning to a base in between. And that's probably get behind what Hannah said with the number of actual incidents from Crewe Station being about 10 per day.
So many more. We have so many more a day than 10, don't we? So realistically, you book on debriefing and you're out, and you'll be responding from wherever you might be. You know, from one incident or you're patrolling somewhere. They're not always going to be 999 calls in. We'll leave the station. We don't do that and come back after every job. Do you know what I mean? We're out the shift, so a lot of the 999 calls are responding from elsewhere.
And the highest proportion of those call-outs happen between 5 and 7 in the evening, which, I mean, most people are either coming in from work, cooking dinner, they may be busy. It's probably a time when they aren't going to be noticing sirens and blue lights. Certainly the number of responses overnight are extremely very, very low during those early hours. So in terms of impact on immunity, I don't think the number of blue light activations from this new deployment base is going to have an unacceptable impact.
And I think that's the point. We're not saying that there won't be any sirens, you know, at night time, because it could happen and it will happen at a certain number of occasions, but it won't be a significant number that we feel that on balance would mean that this is just an acceptable place to have the deployment place full stop. And that's what you're going to. But we're not saying that there will not be, because, and we can't say that they won't happen because you can't turn them off. You can't say you cannot use a siren.
Dennis?
You said something about sharing a building in Crewe. Can you give me some, because I can't imagine you being inside boots or like the post office was in WH Smith. Because obviously when you've got officers in town, you don't want them to keep going back to that building to have their breaks. You're going to want somewhere, and when you're walking around town, you're going to have to go somewhere to sit down at some stage. So it just doesn't seem feasible to me that that you could share something like that with somebody else. And the other thing, do we know how long it takes to get from that place into town? Has that been timed?
As I say, because we don't know, once the application gets submitted to the council, we don't know how long the application will get determined. So
I'd say we could, you know, we've got 10 minutes, haven't we, to resource a grade 1 incident, which is emergency. I'm comfortably able to get from there to the middle of Crewe Town Centre within 5 minutes, I'd imagine, if not less, because you go straight down that Western Road, down Mill Street. I'd say I can't imagine we would ever miss a grade 1 time. As in, it'd take more than 10 minutes on the blue light to get hear from there.
One of the things I'm thinking of is if you've got somebody, an officer in town who's, shall we say, in trouble, how long is it going to be before someone can get to help them? Now, to me, well, I know you're going to build it anyway, but at the end of the day, there should be a way to know how long it's going to take them.
It's very similar though, isn't it? Say if an officer goes to a domestic out, you know, covering Antwich Way, we've got massive areas, Leighton. If someone calls a backup in Leighton and we're all at this police station, it's exactly the same scenario, isn't it? 9 times out of 10, I'd say, without knowing the exact figures, the assistant calls come at your houses rather than, you know, just in this town centre here, which we haven't really got any pubs. Maybe we've got a couple, haven't we, here, but we're not. It's not a massive police amount of incidents in the middle of this town centre at the minute. Obviously, a lot of it's gone, hasn't it? So for me, them assistance calls are.
You having a knock at us?
No. It's when they got rid of Marks and Spencer's. That's when it did it for me. So I love that. So yeah, I don't think it's all sort of relative because you back up. We go out in the sticks to back each other up a lot. I don't think there'd be an issue with an assistance call as much the other way around.
Okay. Stephen and yourself. Do you want to?
I mean, me.
Yeah, then Steve.
Okay, I think Dennis makes a fair point. It'd be very interesting and helpful to see the business case to support this. It shows the heat map of incidents, because that obviously is a good teller of the thing. You're exactly right, covering a large amount sort of thing. That a disproportionate amount will be, in terms of area, will be somewhere in Crewe. So I think that would be helpful information for members to understand that heat map of where things are going and the time expectations. You can't be certain because things get in the way. That'd be helpful data, I think.
Actually, just commenting on heat maps. I recall, at one time it undoubtedly was the case that the hotspot was in the town centre.
Yeah.
For a few years ago, but and probably the second centre would have been in Crewe, and it would have been Nantwich Road. But I would guess that Nantwich presents more issues at times as well, at night time. Anyway, it certainly would be interesting to see what it looks like now. I mean, there are plenty of incidents in the middle of the town centre, but they're just what some of us would describe as minor vandalism. Well, vandalism.
This is it. It's not. There's differences. You've got your grade 1s, your emergency. You've got your grade 2s within the hour. Then we've got stuff that's grade 3 and grade 4, which is more slow time stuff or for local awareness. So if we're looking at deployment we're looking from a grade 1 perspective, aren't we, realistically here? Because if it's a grade 2 or it's a 3 or it's a 4, we can get to it because it's done by appointment or in an officer's workload, slow time, isn't it? This is, I suppose, how we get to grade 1s is.
What I was interested in it, yeah, I mean, there certainly is a concern about antisocial behaviour in the town centre. It does exist, even because of on site there at the moment.
Yeah.
It's very tempting to people. This town centre facility base for the neighbourhood police officers. Is the neighbourhood police officer, presumably does that mean PCSOs, or does it mean?
I don't know what the answer, because I'm on the beat team, so I have the beat PCs and I have the beat PCSOs. And my understanding is we are going to the new police station, unless obviously the first I've heard of it is I thought we would have a base with like a help desk officer type thing to deal with the people who want to come and produce the driving licences and all that sort of stuff to report an incident. But I'm not nothing to do with the planning, but my understanding was not that there was a whole team of local police officers there. So unless you know something
what is meant then by neighbourhood police? I mean, to me, neighbourhood police.
We have a beat team. So my beat team are on now on late. So I've got 6 PCs which cover cover Crewe, and I've got 3 PCSOs and me. That's my entire beat team, and we have 3 of them. We've got 1 at Nantwich and we've got 2 at Crewe, and we work different shifts. That's it. That is neighbourhood policing. About 6 on each team with 3 PCSOs.
So
3
this
teams.
facility in the town centre sounds to me like it's going to be more or less a book and on point. and maybe somewhere to go write reports or whatever.
Yeah, so we have so we do have I forget what the official name is, but we do have areas within the community that my PCSOs, for example, will go and on their beat will go and sit. I don't know where they are, but they're like Leighton Hospital, we might go and sit there and do their paperwork, but they're in that area. There's a few sort of like hotspot type areas. It might be that you perhaps wouldn't look on there, but they would say, right, I'll go into the paper retail centre, I'll have a walk round or whatever it might be. But I don't know. It's it's up to my understanding.
I just to conclude this, I suppose, that you know, this facility or the availability of a place where people can go and find at least perhaps the odd officer. So that's going to be of particular interest, I will say, to people in Currently and the town council as well.
The intention town centre police presence is to provide that public facing help desk that existing cruise station has currently at the moment. Obviously to say that moving out of the town centre into somewhere that's fairly inaccessible to the general public. So the intention is so that we provide that public facing help desk base for up to 10 officers. We don't know exactly what that will look like at the moment, whether that's just a base for them to really said base for them to do paperwork, or whether they're based there permanently. We don't know the detail yet. We don't know.
That should be. I mean, providing space up to 10 officers should be pretty easy to country vacant space in the town centre. And it needs to be something really central in the town centre.
Yeah.
Well, thanks.
Myself and the deputy PCC and head of estates did undertake an exercise with Cheshire East Council a few years ago, when obviously the project timescales have been pushed back slightly now, but at the time we did undertake that exercise. We walked around the town centre to try and identify any suitable units that were vacant at the time. Obviously, once this application gets determined, or once we're nearing determination, we can look at undertaking that exercise again to identify any suitable units that meet our operational needs and are vacant and available at the time, that we can potentially purchase or enter into some sort of lease, whether that's a standalone unit, whether that's a shop front in the town centre, whether that's shared space, I don't know, with a council or a municipal building. We don't know until we look at those options, but a bit more certainty on this planning application, then we'd be happy to provide those details with you then.
Okay, can I think, well, I said, colleagues, have got anything, can just ask really just to confirm, can you give us a firm commitment that we will have a presence within the town centre that will be more than a help desk? Because I'm only reading what you've sent out, which I've done my own work on, and you've clearly got some operational difficulties between the beat policeman and yourself. But it does say here, it's the intention for Cheshire Constabulary to retain an acceptable presence in the town centre in the new location. And then it goes on to say what you just said, alongside delivering the base, we will have a Crewe Town Centre keeping the ability for the public to report matters directly to an officer. The facility will also provide a base for circa 10 neighbourhood police officers. So I don't want to get involved in the behind the scenes talks, but from our position, can you give us a firm commitment we will have a presence in the town centre? Yeah, there's that commitment. Because we need to get something out of the meeting, because clearly when as Pete has touched on, when we get to that planning application, I'm sure that the residents who are probably spending the thick end of £400,000 to buy a house next to a police station will be very, very concerned about blues and twos going up their street. So we get it in this meeting. It's a planning meeting, and we get a lot of comments from residents, quite rightly, saying, "Oh, it used to be like this, and they're building this." That will be, I can see them now seething we've got a police there, okay, we live with that, but what we can't live with is the blues and twos and coming and going all night. So I have to flag that up to you, because when we get the official, when you submit it, and Cheshire East and we do it officially, then we will be looking, and I'm sure that there'll be a list a yard long of resident comments, and they'll all be about that. So what we want out of this is you having a professionally based police agent, but not causing some disruption with the neighbourhood, because we haven't got it here, have we? We bump along quite nicely when you're in the town centre. So, you know, we'd like you to stay, really. Let's be honest about it. But you'll be out there, and what we don't want is, because that's growing, just like all the fields have been with houses. So what we don't want is to have some sort of disruption. We want to live in harmony together. We want the police and ourselves to be as one. And I can see them now, angry from David Whitby Way, you know.
Shouldn't have many burglaries, though, should they?
Right, Peter, no,
I'm just going to summarise. For me, just to help us move on. Sorry, Chair. I wonder if it might be argued that for planning and development ease, the access onto a residential street has been chosen, as opposed to pragmatic safety and obvious access and egress onto David Whitby Way, with the concerns that members may well have should a planning application come forward with no predetermination. The consideration will be impact on potential residences. And I think it's fair to say not the planning committee but the council will be extremely interested in the eventual commitment of what will be provided in the town centre. I hope that provides feedback. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for attending, and thank you
Time.
for sharing it with us, and have a safe journey home.
Thank you.
But you are welcome to stay on Tuesday.
We'll leave it to your email.
Right. So, moving on. Item 5 then, to consider response to the following planning application, 250234, 41 Bartonley Crescent, it's to do with the disabled persons facility.
Yeah, it's in a sizable garden. It's in a setting that has other extensions. It's not overshadowing, overlooking. It's a single story, and had a look over it. I have no comments to make, Chair. We'll obviously bring it up beyond.
Anybody is okay? Remember, it's your ward.
Well, I welcome this application. I certainly hope it will be approved. I strongly would recommend its approval because it's to enable a person who I'm aware of, due to being their ward councillor, has had a lot of difficulty in trying to make their current house suitable for their disability, and they've spent many years being. I won't go into personal details, but it's caused them a lot of hardship not being in suitable accommodation. And I first spoke to them about this. I think it would be a good 2 years ago, if not longer. And at that point, they'd already been involved with trying to get planning permission. It's taken them. There's been a lot of bureaucracy involved and various.
We've looked at this before, haven't we? That address.
Yeah. So I hope it will go through as smoothly and as quickly as possible, so that they can have a better quality of life.
Okay then. So, yeah, Kevin.
Is this the existing one? Because there is a disabled property right at the bottom of is this going to be a second one, or is it the existing one that's already there?
It's that property there.
So they're taking down a conservative building extension.
It's a private residence.
Yeah, I think it's all. I think that one is the one that's already there. We've got it's been adapted for disability.
I can quite
Not that one.
clearly say that this application is not for a building, a residence that's already been adapted.
But there is one in Barton Crescent, and it goes that way down to go turn into Barton off Sunnybank Road and turn down to the bottom, come to a junction, T junction, which at the bottom and on the right hand side there is a disabled property that's been converted. It was done by
I
Crew
don't
which
quite
couldn't cancel
understand
it.
what a disabled property is. You
Well,
mean
it's had disabled bathrooms
Right.
built downstairs.
right. Is
But
it
I'm
one
wondering,
junction?
if this is that same building.
Well, it's suggesting that removing the glazed conservatory
Yes,
and
yeah.
and build extension at the rear of the semi-detached. So it's not suggesting is it other than a glazed conservatory. So I think that must be another
Yeah.
property.
Yes.
Have we
that-
had any
Right.
comments from neighbours?
No.
None? Okay.
Right. So taking the what it's saying, it's removed that it hasn't there. They want to put it in for
Yeah.
for a disabled person. Then with no objections to that.
No.
No. Well, could we, I mean, I obviously will be separately putting in a comment to planning that I strongly recommend that they approve this. But I think generally speaking, the town council, when it's been a case of a residential home being adapted to someone who's got disabilities, then we would perhaps want to make a comment that we would want this to be supported.
Well, I can't as chair, but I'm sure if
Yeah,
any of our colleagues feel
I'll move that.
support the
That we
application.
support the application. Yeah.
Yeah, is that
I
okay?
think-
Yeah,
yeah.
That was an easy one. Right, 250628, 205 Middlewich Street. A variation of condition 2 on application.
Remember, members, that this application is backland development we previously objected to, but the consent was given. Now they're coming to amend the design of the properties, so the footprint is remaining the same. However, they are making them 1.9 metres higher at ridge height, so they can use the roof space as living accommodation as well. So the property elevations have changed and the internal floor space has changed. I don't know how members feel about this. Obviously, it's a cramped. Well, sorry, it's definitely not a massive site, and it's to the rear of on this.
It's access from the side street. Isn't it?
It's it's access from where are we? Where's Middlewich Street? West Street. Middlewich Street.
No, keep going.
You're near it. Wrong way.
Where is it?
Keep going.
Top, yeah, that's up top. Yeah.
Keep going. Next one.
There we go. It's this land here.
Yeah, you access it from the bit further up there. Russet close.
Yeah, that's it.
Russell close.
It comes there and
There's
Yes.
Is that part of
this
the-
land here.
Seen that before.
Yeah, it's a previous application, 232158, which was approved by Cheshire East Council. Crewe Town Council objected to it on the basis of backland development over on the site, impact on residential amenity due to a tight access, risk of tight access, and various other issues, turning circuits for waste trucks, that sort of thing. However, it was approved. Now this application is seeking, as that covering letter says, to increase the ridge height, change the elevations accordingly, and the internal floor space so that use the loft. If it was perceived by this committee that the backland development was overdeveloped at the site, various risks, it might be understandable that increasing the capacity of these two dwellings would therefore impact on that development in terms of how much volume of traffic it will take and how many people are coming and going, that sort of thing. It seems to me that it's very much squeezing a lot of accommodation into a very small backland development. And in fact, they reference backland development in this letter.
Okay, councillor.
Yeah, I remember this committee looking at that and Mr Clark first objecting on those grounds. I mean, it was a very, at the moment, previously it was no building there, and there was just a very small access way to it, which is still the same now. But now these buildings have been improved, and now they want to extend them more. They want to go higher up, for more accommodation, more people. So I would say that based on what we previously objected to, I would propose that we put forward again the same objections for overdevelopment.
Yeah, is that
That makes sense. I would support that, yeah.
we captured that? Is that all right, colleagues, to
Yes,
object on those grounds? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Next one then, 250330. Morflakes, basically, a mill extension.
The technical warehousing drawings that I understand. So it's on the Morflake sites, rest of in the area. I have no comments to make. You're welcome to.
They're not going up, they're going extending it
So they
about
went
10
out.
metres or something.
Yeah.
We're not going any higher.
Not going any higher, no, it's extra floor space for production. Actually.
Yeah.
Do you want to have a look at that? It's not going up or making any different view for the.
Just means they can make more complex.
So we're okay with that, no comment.
It's an oat mill.
Not called.
Right, have we finished, colleagues?
Yeah.
Don't we talk about mighty oats? Right, 244241, 184 Walthall Street. Conversion of a traditional Victorian terrace to 2 independent dwellings.
Bring it up. There's not a huge amount of detail on this, and so I did identify that it hadn't detailed out pipe storage, parking, or waste storage. But other than that, they're proposing a ground floor and a first floor 1-bedroom flat each. There you go. Entry level into the ground floor, and then up the stairs into the first floor. Location.
Yeah.
Site plan doesn't give us any details. Sorry.
Is there access from the top flat into the rear garden?
Not shown on here now.
Because I do know that where they have in the past changed it to two apartments, they put like what you would call a fire escape, but it also enables us to do from the rear of the property to get to the bins, to your garden, to put the bins out, rather than traditionally, if you don't do that, it's the tendency then to have the bins at the front of the property and so on.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can say this. So to me, had it done, and it works really well by putting that. And I think that's important. But it's also important to us to look at the comments of a neighbour who says that in that particular area there are a lot of what, now that they don't do HMOs because of Article 4, they're tending to put Airbnbs, and there's nothing we can do about that. And she alludes to that there's one opposite with 6 beds, it's an Airbnb, and they come with lads who are workers, contractors, come with several vans. Parking's a premium on the street anyway, and when they come, the parking up, and it creates problems. And that's happening all over that particular area, this Airbnb where there isn't. So I wouldn't use that, wouldn't have said anything, but the lady who lives, I think, next door but one to this property is pointing quite out about. Because there's not control on that. HMOs there is, and you could argue, is it the lesser of two evils by having 2 apartments rather than an HMO? But I think you have to make certain that that's right as well. So, Steve.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's been a certain amount of discussion about this on social media where people, from my recollection, were kept on referring to it as an HMO, which is not a proposal for an HMO. It's plainly not. And I'd have to say, looking at the kind of layout, that's almost a traditional sort of layout for this kind of arrangement of splitting a house into two. Because we've lived in such an arrangement where the separate entrances, for the, in fact, I presume that the separate entrances, or is it a common entrance or two? I'm not really sure.
There's a common front door,
Yeah.
and then the access to the rear is through the kitchen of the downstairs flat. So the upstairs doesn't have access to the direct access to the rear.
I think we should object. I propose we object on those grounds.
I think that's impossible.
And the fact that it hasn't got a fire escape.
Sorry, are you saying two separate grounds there? Or was it just the one that they haven't got access to the back?
The fact that they've got to go through the kitchen with their rubbish of the other flat.
No, they haven't done.
No, because
The ground floor is self-contained. They will go out into their rear garden,
right.
backyard. Upstairs flat will have no access other than going into the street and round up the alley and into the back gate, put it in the bin.
Sorry.
So what it needs, let's call it a fire escape. Let's say that it's egress into the rear garden.
Yeah.
That's the key one.
Yeah.
It's not a fire escape in as such. It's for them to enable to live in a self-contained flat upstairs.
Yeah.
To have all the accesses to the alleyway where they might well, it's a wide alleyway there, and they might well be able to park the cars because it's twice that one is twice the width of any other alleyway round. So that just Kevin, sorry, then.
Bearing in mind with this, in Fort Lane and Grosvenor Street, it's a similar planning application to this, and the only access is round the rear, which we said that they didn't do it. Planning permission has been given and they're going ahead and they're doing it. So we need to be mindful that this doesn't happen again.
Well, I think all we can do is make comment, and we're doing it from our experiences, and that just enforces the fact that needs to be put in because it makes their life better. They can get into the rear. It shouldn't be different.
No,
let's encourage bins to be on the
what
front
I'm
of the
saying
property.
is, if the borough's done it once, they'll do it again with this.
Well, they've also done it next door to me where they haven't. So it's important that good practice is, which I think is a good practice. Right, up to you to sum all that up now.
How does it work next door to you then? You say they haven't got access from upstairs.
Yes,
They have.
Sorry, can you just repeat it then?
similar type of house
Yeah.
to what I live in, which is a 3-bedroom traditional family home.
Yeah.
And they've divided that up into 2 single 1-bedroom flats.
Yeah.
And what they've done at the rear of their property is the kitchen.
Yeah.
So then where there was a window for the kitchen, there's a door, and that door leads to what you could call it a fire escape, to a set of steps, iron steps down into the rear garden, so that they can get to the bin and they can put the washing out into and all the rest of it. So
What about the upstairs access?
that was upstairs. The downstairs can get out from what you would have done in your and it does improve the where you can do it, they should do it. There's no excuse not to. But they're only doing this because in the area, as we all know, we've got the Article 4, because without that would be an HMO. And that is not an HMO, that is a 2-bedroom, good quality, that'll be a good quality set of residential area, if we can get these steps.
Yeah.
Right, now it's over to you.
If members are minded to object, might I try and give you some words? You might object on the grounds that there is no detailing for bike storage, there is no detailing for car parking, there's no detailing for waste storage, there is no access or egress to the rear for the benefit of the first floor accommodation proposed, which will impact on their amenity and also the amenity of their property due to access to waste storage. and there should be provision for safe fire escape. I think those are things people have said, unless I've missed something.
Isn't that what I said?
I'm sorry, I'd just like to repeat everything I said.
Are we okay with that, Steve? I can see you more,
Well, they're
more than some
comments. I mean, they're worthwhile comments. I wouldn't necessarily it's an objection. I'm just particularly mean I'm not objecting to this myself, but I do think it needs improvement. So those comments, you need to make those comments. Most of those comments, I'm not sure about the fire escape. Is that standard for a top floor flat?
I've said this before.
No, well, you mentioned it in your summary.
Well, because it was brought up by council. Fire escapes are not a feature of a planning application unless they're being provided. It's a building regs aspect. Should it be required under building regs?
Yeah.
However, if members wish to reflect it, then I'm here to serve.
But you've already put. We need to be steps for them to get into the rear garden.
Yes, I think that's
forget calling it fire escape.
That's what I'm just reflecting what members have said. I don't mind.
Right. Well, let's have a review of that. I think we should be saying that they get access into the rear garden, so that becomes a self-contained.
By means of a stairway, steps. Yeah.
So I don't want to get semantic about it, fire escape, but if it's not helpful, let's use it.
No.
As simple as that.
If they have access, that in itself will mean that they've got an extra way to get out of their flat. So we don't need to mention fire escape.
And there are arrangements like this. If I remember right, if you go down Victoria Street, just down the corner, back at houses backing onto the Asda car park, there are some houses where this sort
They've
of
got steps at the back.
they've got steps into the ground floor.
We've got steps into the
So
back.
It used to be a tradition of the
established
old days.
arrangements.
Right, so can we, Mallory,
Sorry, I don't
sum us
think
all up?
it's been proposed that we object. It's seconded and that.
No, we haven't. We haven't got.
Suggesting an amendment or a second proposal.
Go on then.
Well, in a way, I would say that we shouldn't object to them splitting a 3-bedroom family home into 2 times 1 bedroom flats, because that in that area that seems reasonable. It will provide more accommodation in a way, for a variety of accommodation, isn't it? But all of the points we're making, if we were going to object, the points that we were wanting to object on, I think we could just ask for all of that to be taken into consideration. Do you have to object to it so that then the planning application can't be? Well, I know. We're not suggesting the whole planning application not be approved.
Don't know.
It's just that we would like to see that it be made a condition or something. I mean, they can't make. I don't know if they can make it a condition, but they could turn it down on that basis, and then hopefully it would come back with being altered. So sorry, I'm rambling now because I'm wondering whether we just do object to it. I think we could say in principle we don't object to the building being split up into the 2 flats.
But
however, because there is no, therefore we wouldn't want to approve it. Wouldn't want to support it.
Object as the designs, the proposal stand.
Yeah.
But have no objection.
That's all right. Sorry, I rambled on.
And
We don't object to
suggest the improved suggested conditions or whatever.
I personally think we should object it, especially on the grounds that I mentioned earlier, Lord Lady Golden Street, which we said that it needed independent access from the way. Until it's finished, I can't tell you whether it's got any or not. But we have started work on the place and it's nearly finished.
Right, basically, apart from, sorry, Chair, but apart from calling it a fire escape, I thought that's what I was proposing. That we need
You want rear access.
rear egress.
Not fire escape, you want rear access.
Just one. And I think the clerk put it much better than I did.
I don't know. I think we got confused. We don't object in principle to the conversion of a traditional Victorian 3-bedroom house into 2 single bedrooms. However, on this occasion, we would request the following be looked at.
Rear access, isn't everything else?
We feel, put like a bit of oomph in that we feel the parking, the bins, the act, and all the rest of
Yeah.
it.
Or what?
Because that allows us to look at it on an individual basis, doesn't it?
And we're just not going to refer to the fire escape. We're going to say we don't object in principle.
Not going to
No,
use
but we do
the
need
access
to
that way.
mention the fact that it does need a re-erect.
Well,
We got
Right.
right. Okay. Before we get bogged down with traditional,
Yeah.
can you just run that through so
I'm
that
not
we're
sure I can. I'll try. The committee does not object to the proposals in principle, however, has concerns relating to issues within the designs, such as lack of bike storage in the detailing, no identification of parking, a lack of detailing of waste storage, lack of access or egress independent access or egress for the first floor accommodation, and lack of amenity for the first floor, access to amenity space for the first
into
floor
the
property.
rear, in the rear
Yeah.
of the property? Yeah.
Into the rear property. On those grounds, the committee is seeking amendments to be able to support this application.
Could we have an in particular?
In particular,
In between the lack of direct access, you said,
yeah,
and then you mentioned lack of access to the rear. So I think, in particular, it's access to the rear that we're concerned about, not the fact that they share a front door and hallway.
there we are.
Right. Are we okay then, colleagues? Are we all? Yes. Well, thank you for that. That's right. Okay. Let's get on to one with a bit more.
Everything to a link to
241659 2628 High Street. A roof extension, new exterior finishes to create a 3-storey building with rear parking, ground floor, 2 commercial units, and first and second floor change of use to residential. This is next door to what has already been.
Yeah.
Right.
Where are we? Street. It's that property there. This is going to be the youth zone. This is the ocean going liner. We've got an application here as well later on. And that's our office there. Right. This one we have seen before and submitted objections to it, and they've revised the plans. Town council. Previously, we objected. They have, I think they've reduced the number of units now.
Oh, they changed the address as well.
26 to 30. Why could they even find it to them?
So there is still some aspects of apartments in the drawings that I'll show you in a minute. Apartments 3, 4, 7 and 8 are below the technical minimal housing standards, 50 square metres for a 2-person 1-bed flat. They've addressed the red line boundary, they've addressed the access and egress. This parking spaces, there's only 2 parking spaces, but we've had that argument every single time. And net biodiversity gain, I haven't seen that, but they have put solar panels on the roof. So there we go. That was our past response there. There's a load of drawings there, so I'm really sorry. Also takes a while now because the new system is a pain in the neck. Okay, we'll start at the top, if that's okay. So they're just showing the flat roof, and these are all solar panels. And that's effectively, that's a balcony below that little thing there. These are the parking spaces outside. And then we'll go from the ground floor, sorry. the order. They're showing the commercial spaces, but they've got bike storage here, they've got bin storage here, and another access to the rear of the properties that way. Right. This one is just the first floor. First floor. Apartment 1 and apartment 2 meet the technical minimum housing standards above 50 square metres. However, apartment 4 and apartment 3, I don't know why they've done it that way, hot-wise, are both small than the technical minimum housing standards. We do have an external balcony to the front on this one only. And then on the second floor, it's exactly this, well, give or take, exactly the same floor plan. You've got 5 and 6, they're above technical minimum housing standards, but these two are below. They're both very small again on this side. So my observations on this proposal are that apartments 3, 4, 7 and 8 do not meet the technical minimum housing standards as adopted by Cheshire East Council, and then it remains that the parking is below Cheshire East policy. I don't have any other comments.
Anybody have any comment to make? Building on Pete, so that's it there, isn't it? That one. I seem to want to get too much in. Any comment for anyone? Olive?
No, I think the clerk said it all.
Yeah, I think we should mention the points that the clerk has made as a concern. But would we say, in principle, we haven't got an objection to the addition of the 2 floors? That's quite a significant change to that building, but it seems to be in keeping with the way that area is now going.
Yeah.
And previously, some of the buildings are quite tall. They used to be like the old cinema.
Reading house is going up, which knows that it's just went in the background.
I think
Back of that building.
I think it's the size of rooms.
Yeah,
That's the key bit, isn't it? This minimum standard. They always want to cram an extra room in, don't they?
Yeah.
We know the reason why, but you just feel that why just let them give.
Those two, as we look at the screen, it's the ones to the right hand side or the south side of the building, as I understand it, are the small ones. If they were to be made, which I understand as a commercial developer, there might be reasons you wouldn't want to do this. They were made into 2-bedroom flats, one of each on each floor. Then they'd meet the technical minimum housing standards, and you provide a mix of accommodation, which is what you're supposed to provide anyway.
Just go on. Nitpicking query, and the previous application related to 26 to 30 High Street. This one only seems to relate to 26 to 28.
This is 26 to 30, isn't it? This one.
That's it. But the application.
28.
The application details says 26 to 28.
I'm afraid that's a planning admin thing. I have no say over any of that.
No,
So
to me, but it's
what you're saying?
What their drawings may relate. They can refer back to an application where they got the address right, or the address reflected what they were talking about. If they're only talking about 26 to 28, then they're only talking about one side of the building, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
but they've shown a demised property, so we can. I think we can. And I don't mind some humor. I think we can extrapolate. We understand the site in that context. But if you want to point out the technical errors, that's fine. I'll do that.
I think it'd be worth pointing that out. I mean, to be quite frankly, if the company can get the address right on the application, it gives me little confidence in any of the rest of it. It's as simple as that. And we'll have another one like that a bit later on, I think. So otherwise, I'd support
Right, so
putting
putting that to one side, are we objecting on the grounds of? We objecting on the grounds of size of room,
Yeah.
and that there is a glitch on the address.
Concern about address inconsistency throughout the application.
Is that all right, Steve?
Yeah.
We okay with that, Marlon?
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. To item 6. The first one is 24 5199 3 Chester Street, we've seen before.
Yes.
Again, that one had a problem with its address. And it's a proposal for a change of use from offices to 4 self-contained flats with internal alterations.
Right, I'm going to apologise to you all. I'm afraid I've been chasing my tail today and I haven't looked at this.
Well, I noticed two of what Steve touched on there. The one they've got a map. It's put a map up. It says a map of Chesterfield, and there's also yes, and there is also on the application form, unless they've changed the person that did the original because they started to do it without planning permission. The same when you tick the box, has it been started, yes or no? They put no. Now I don't know whether that's if it's changed people, then that could be correct. But we know that they've taken windows out and they did all sorts, and then they were made to stop. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Now we've got within this, and I know we'll come. We've got 1 2-bedroomed. We've got 4 self-contained flats. Well, one of those is 2-bedroom flat. Yeah, that one there. Did you want to? Because you've had a look at it, haven't you?
Yes,
Steve's
I
had a
did
look.
have a look.
Do you want to start off while Steve does a bit of
Yes. Well, I gather they're not large enough anyway.
Well, Pete does a bit of prepping.
You know, the owner did a lot of work, and then, as you say, it stopped. And it's the whole of the building, right from 33 Market Street up to Chester Street, up to number 7. You get, and the apartments are above 2 stories. But it's the whole complex really has caused problems from the start, mainly because there's a Kurdish restaurant underneath all this, which is at number 33. The apartments extend to above the Kurdish restaurant as well, and above the kitchens of the Kurdish restaurant, and above the little shop, which is Slovakian run. And there's 1 staircase which leads from Chester Street. The doorway leads straight out onto Chester Street, that's it. Because I've been up there myself and had a look. And just 1 staircase, which is right next to the kitchens of the Kurdish restaurant. So from that point of view, I think it's unsafe if there are going to be a number of people living on these top 2 floors, unless they've factored in a second estate, which I don't think they have, then they certainly need to. The other aspect is bin storage, because there's no backyard to this building. It just goes straight out onto the service road, really, behind Market Street. Currently, the bins from the Kurdish restaurant and the Slovakian shop, they're on the neighbouring property, which is number 31. So it's a question where they're going to have bin storage. I just can't imagine where they would have bin storage or bag storage. And there's certainly nowhere to park. Anyone who parks around the back there, they're not, you know, it hasn't got any space for parking either, because it has no backyard, no back area. So, but thinking back to the apartments, you know, it's always assumed people don't have cars, but they may have bikes. But I'm not sure where they.
There's bikes there by the stairs.
It does, but I don't think you get many bikes in there. You might get 2. It's not a significant area for bikes, unless you can get tangled up, doesn't it?
I'm not suggesting it was. I just said it said bike storage.
Yeah, sorry.
By the stairs.
It's like a glory hole, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not well thought out, and really, I don't think people would be safe up there without a separate fire escape. Definitely, I think that's the paramount, really. And there's constant problems with bins at the back anyway. Environmental health have been out on several occasions because there's inadequate bin storage. There's nowhere, there's nowhere really that they're keeping them on the neighbour's property at the moment. So unless the owner comes up with some new plans for bin storage,
There is a plan where it says there's a little red box on the back. It says on it. It's when you read it, it says to the side of the property.
yeah, that's right.
And then when you look at the thing, it's just like it's red.
Yeah, it's not his property though. He
No,
showed me
no.
all this. I've seen where he wants to put the bins to build this
There is actually one of
something at the
just
side
out
of
of
the
the
property.
property. Yeah,
But it's building on the neighbour's property.
because
and
that's
the
31, is it? The one that's
yeah.
darker brown.
Yeah.
That's
Yes. So
Yeah, we have had a bin lifted from there very recently.
yeah.
There was just been left there with sideways and it was getting worse.
so. What are the size of the rooms?
Yeah.
I haven't got a scale rule, I haven't got a printout, but I can find out at a later date. It shows the measurements, but I need to get a scale rule to do the maths. Well, I haven't had a chance. I'm very sorry. It looks to me from this that they are probably if we've got 4.1 by 4.5 36, it's about 40 square meters, so it's below the 50 square meter requirement, 45 square meters. So that one's a relatively big one. So that one is, be very confident that one there. Apartment 3 is below technical minimum housing standards. Apartment 1 I think is probably within, although it might not. You have to measure it. And then apartment 2 looks like it's below as well, but I haven't been able to print it out yet and do the next.
Yeah.
Is that layout check? Sorry, Steve. Go on.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's covered the main points really, really thoroughly. And it makes point that the side of there is no side to the property. And actually the flats where they will physically be, it does extend all the way from above 33 Market Street and 1 Chester Street and 3 Chester Street and 5 Chester Street. So it's a much bigger area. The diagram the sort of present and it was existing and proposed site plan. As far as I can see, that document is the one that's delayed this coming to planning for consultation anyway. So I noticed the plans were submitted before Christmas and design statement was submitted on the 2nd of January, plus other documents. Plenty, but it would appear this final little map here, which is supposed to be the site plans, was only put on today, and surely, well, it does suggest the ongoing confusion in somebody's head about what address to use. I mean, number 7 anyway. You can't. Number 7 is not going to be built above any because it's a single story.
That's the tobacco shop.
Site rack is virtually prefab.
Yes. So to me, there seems to be a lot of flaws even in this current application, which Selena was outlined, explained, and there are genuine problems. Certainly well aware of the bin that was removed from the corner of Chester Street, opposite the pipe rack. One bin was removed from there which had answer printed on it.
Yeah.
It's been replaced by another one, which belongs to the same.
Is that the one?
That's what it's suggesting is
that going to put the bins in there?
That's the old fashioned yes. This is from the Slovakian shop.
These were from the Slovakian shop. It's now got one bin because the waste was piling up and keeps the bins on the pavement as well.
Yeah,
so that's what it's saying is the big store.
Yeah. Well, no, he was talking
Right.
side. As you go round that.
Round by the car.
Yeah, where that goes parked, but that doesn't belong to
but on this plan, they're indicating that is the
That little bit there, that's what they're saying.
You're going to have to massively adjust it then, because they're hardly even big enough for the old-fashioned dustbins. Never mind.
Might have on a slim one.
And it doesn't. And it certainly wouldn't be able
Right.
to cope. Certainly couldn't
you
cope
know.
with the Euro bin, which is there,
No.
which
You
is
know, when with these overflowing bins, then people won't see that and flight it on top
So
of it. All.
if you've got two bedroom, which could be 4 people, just said double bed, and you've got 3 others with double, you've got, what's that, 10 people potentially living there. So you even using the formula that Cheshire East use, how many bins do you need? We're going to have food waste next year or whatever it is. He clearly has not got it sufficient on their property.
No, and not to mention the parking up Chester Street, because most of the parking, as you come up from Market Street into Chester Street, most of that parking along there is associated with people going into the restaurant or the shops, the couple of shops, and it's
Right. So what you're saying, because obviously you looked at this in some depth and you live close to it in essence, don't you? That area, Toilet Street and that, don't you? Would you like to say we're objecting on the grounds of the things you mentioned?
well, I've got yes on all those grounds: safety, bin storage, bikes. Encourages
If
parking.
you could just guide us.
Would it help if I tried to summarise what
Yeah, go on,
you
you
said?
put it. Yeah, you'll put it a lot.
Absolutely.
I'm just
It might be
getting
that the
over
proposal
about it.
is to object to the proposals on the grounds of inadequate bike storage and detailing, inadequate bin storage and detailing. The rooms, subject to my confirmation, may not meet technical minimum housing standards. Safety concerns due to single access and egress and livable commercial kitchen premises. Lack of parking and the ongoing issues in that area regarding on-street waste. And I've also made a note of no outdoor amenity for potential residents and lack of access to green space in that location. Because the
true
nearest
as
green
well.
space is something like Queen Street or Flomway.
Yes.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, all right. Okay then, thank you. Next one then, 250332, Allman Web Depot, 4-storey building, 72-bed care home with associated landscaping, car parking and other associated external works.
Has anyone looked at this one? Because
I have
Mm.
I had a quick look at it, to be honest with you.
It's like 18 on each floor, four floors, 18 beds, 24 car parking spaces.
From what I saw of it, the floor layout, it's a bit weird, but it's a care home, but the dining rooms are on each floor. So a person, when he wants to eat, can eat on that floor. How do we get food in there or not? I don't know. I'm assuming, but I've not had a proper look at it, to be honest with you. So, I'm not sure whether there's a kitchen on each floor or not. Because if you've got a dining room on each floor, then
So they
I
tend
would
to do,
assume
don't they?
that you'd have a kitchen on each floor.
That's what they did to that one at Western.
Well, I mean,
You've got to leave.
I would assume there'd be one catering kitchen and that.
There is a catering kitchen downstairs on the ground floor.
Yeah, well, I would assume that would be the food preparation area.
Moving on.
They'll obviously have a lift system and they'll use trolleys to take it up to the
I
dining room.
can't see a lift system in there other than for people going up and down the floors. That's the trouble.
Well,
It's the same.
I've been recently visiting in
We'd have to look.
care homes. They just put the trolleys in they had the one lift.
Yeah.
Trolleys and
Yeah,
the
I'll
chairs.
Let's confirm one way or the other. That's the ground floor, is it, Pete?
yeah,
So at the right hand side, I just about make out kitchen, store,
Yeah.
and kitchen. So let's go to another floor and see whether it replicates that.
That's the third floor, staff room, some multi-purpose area, bookstore area, toilets, stairs, lifts are here, lift lobby. And that's the floor.
So there's a
second
dining room
floor.
on each floor, a lounge and
Yeah.
bedroom. So the kitchen is just on the ground floor. Cinema, roof terrace.
I mean, you would have thought that they would have had a prep area on each of them floors. I don't think for keeping food hot and stuff. But I mean, just an observation that I saw when I looked at it. And I thought, well, there's nowhere to store that food other than it goes straight up there and into each dining room.
Where's the
Whether
lift?
they all eat at the same time, I
That's
don't
the
know.
key bit.
Probably hasn't got far to go. It's not like they're wheeling it across the hospital or somewhere, is it? Right, so lines up cold.
The hot point.
Where's the lift situated?
It's here you go. It's situated
there.
there.
There's a lift.
It's
there.
right. The kitchen's near enough on
So
top of the
basically-
lift on the ground floor.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, basically, what
There's
we're
the
looking at is
yeah.
72 rooms.
Yeah.
Is that too large? Is it? You know,
Oh, 72.
relationship to the
I
site.
don't know, but with 72 rooms, I'd be concerned about emergency access if somebody had to be sent up to the hospital quite, because coming out of there on Blues and Twos, you either go left or right. And then if you go right, you're coming up to a junction. If you go right, you're going down straight down Oldham Street and all that way. Go left, then you're coming up into Edison Road onto another junction.
Yeah.
I mean, the idea, I suppose, would be up Edison Road into the lights and straight up to the hospital.
Well, they move the opening to get out. I mean, it's like anything. You've got to let it anyway. You're getting out. I mean, it's. I think you've got to look at it in context of the site.
Yeah, because that I think is they're only using the existence. I don't know whether they made it bigger or not. But that entrance into there is virtually where the entrance is now into the old electricity.
That entrance was moving 3.5 metres.
Is it?
Yeah, in the month. They're moving it towards like what would have been Johnson Paint shop. So they're moving it over, presumably for better access and get it off anyway, safer. But there's 24
inadequate
car parking spaces. So now, one would suggest that if there's 72 rooms and it is for people with Alzheimer's, then we're talking staff and visitors, aren't we? As much as any. I'm saying that none of them can drive, but basically we're looking at the kind of care homes as it is. We'll be looking at staff, won't we? And visitors. Is that enough? I mean, that's the sort of.
I wouldn't have thought parking, depending on how many staff, but I mean, if there's 20 staff there and they will come in the car, you've only got 4 parking spaces left, haven't you?
They probably don't have any more at Pygmy, and that's quite a big complex there.
Yeah.
I don't think.
No, I'm just flagging it up. I'm not making a view one way or the other. Marilyn.
Yes, if we're questioning number of car parking places and that, is there a travel plan on there? Because I would imagine, because we've had this issue in that similar area,
There is
in the travel plan it would be stated how there is regular bus service, how close it is to
There's 1 hour down there, that's the number 8.
bus station.
That's the number 8 that goes down there, and that's roughly 1 hour when it runs.
Number 8.
Number 8, Beach Drive, we used to call it.
Well,
I don't know where they call it now.
it's quite a
Goes
short
to Sydney.
walk from the
Yes,
bus
no,
station.
Yeah,
Yes, not far.
There's plenty of.
that's 8. Sydney was 9. Both now, 1 bus, there's 2 routes.
It's basically got the bus stops quite close.
I mean, I'm looking at it, without need to get too personal, but a close relative of mine that I visited probably 4 or 5 times a week was out in the countryside. Very limited bus service. I used my car, obviously. There weren't, but if that person had been in that building there, I could have got there very easily on a bus service from my house.
Well, if you live,
Walked from the bus station.
if you live up Sydney, you can get on the number 9, and the number 9, yeah, but
Right.
I'm going back to when I talked, because you get on the number 8, and it goes from Sydney back into the bus station, and then up to Beach Strand.
Yeah, so you
So
walk from the
technically,
bus
you can stay
station,
on
wouldn't you?
bus, whether you have
So-
to pay again.
So let's get down. Let's not go on any buses. There is a plan there about where bus stops are and all that. So let's leave that. The fact is, we need to look at it in the context of that building on that site. We've now lost what was on there. That's been derelict for many a long year. We've now got a potential to put what looks to me to be a nursing home for people with Alzheimer's in the middle of Crewe. Is that a positive?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would suggest it is. Would that where it is in the dip? Would that be anything around there that would make it difficult for the neighbours? I suggest not, because we've only got a few electricity street. You've got a railway line to the back of you, and it's in a dip anyway. So I think we need to just concentrate on the principle of what it is, and maybe comment. Well, there's 24 spaces, so what? When we can make that comment, there's 72. But are we positive about that particular building? I'm mindful of the time. I don't want to be overloading. So, what do you think we should be saying?
Yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah. So,
In support of a nursing home on that site?
Yes.
Yeah.
people who live at the back have got a nice view of the brook.
We've got those trees around them.
Well, they've got their own private gardens when you look at
Yes,
it,
they have.
and obviously for they were wandering off, do they? So I think there's a lot of positives there, isn't there? Have you got any words that you can?
I'm trying.
Maybe.
I'm very sorry. Right.
Yeah.
And might it be that the committee supports the development in principle, maybe even welcomes the development in that location? I wonder if, to be consistent, you might see clarity on the net biodiversity gain and promote the provision of SWIFT boxes, which is something we've done in the past on that. I wonder if you might seek some beneficial enhancements to the riverbank to enhance that natural corridor. It would be helpful if there was a travel plan and ensure that parking provision is adequate.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's no, I mean, I just wonder, there's no concerns about it being so near to the railway. Anything like that.
I don't have any concerns, no, if that's what you're asking.
And nor for the residents who will be there.
And Network Rail, if they were within any statutory proximity, Network Rail would be a statutory consultation.
Malin,
On the documents, at the very bottom of the list of documents, just under application form, there are two documents
Oh, Network Rail.
from Network Rail. I haven't got as far as opening them.
yeah, they have to go to them, don't they? With it being so.
But I would assume that the problem there will be telling them.
Right, hold on.
Please note. They have to be so far away, don't they?
Yeah. They want access, don't they, through their land.
Yeah, it's easy standard stuff, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was it?
Rams.
Fences required at the back, so 1 metre from the railway boundary, so standard.
Someone do that. Fail safe on frames.
Presumably to get on the track.
There's no encroachment. Restricted covenants. Lighting isn't Anti-glare.
Solar panels must be anti-glare.
These seem like standard operational
Yeah.
requirements
Yeah.
for safe working and
Yeah.
building next to
Well, should we know that?
Well, they haven't said they object to it, have they?
No,
no.
but they reserve the
Just
right
say
to
whether
amend or change or whatever in the light of further information. So I mean, it's like I say, standard probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay then.
Yes. We have the application for the demolition of the old building, which various members of the public residents, and I know certainly I did as well, and I think, I'm not sure, I think the town council might have put in requests for some sort of heritage to be reflected of that site into the new building, in terms of whether they would keep some of the different coloured brickwork or something. You know, if we went back to that, to the comments on that application, whether that could just be mentioned. It's probably, I could see it looked all very, it didn't look as if there was any additional detail there. It looked quite, I don't know.
Boring.
No, I'm thinking it was all the same, wasn't it? There was no, you know, I was trying to think of the best word.
I mean, they haven't finessed it with any.
Yeah.
I think a
So-
sign was removed, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was
from
a-
that, and Vicky Harrison
Wanted the
actually
we wanted
Yeah,
the actual.
Right. So you're
And
going to reflect
I asked if they would keep some of the brickwork or some of the lettering or something.
I can clarify exactly what
Yeah.
you're after. We requested the retention of the decorative
Yeah.
feature of the
Yeah.
doorway, you said,
Yeah.
Crewe Electricity Works, which they have done, and it'll be reinstated in some way at the Heritage Centre, a date to be agreed in the future. And that's that. It's going to be the Heritage Centre, because that's right. But there was a comment previously made to them that they might consider an interpretation board there, saying how the site was once.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Be a good.
Right. So you
I'll reflect that.
you can capture that in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Is that okay then? Right. Next one then. 250410, 6 to 10 High Street. A change of use. Hot food for eating and takeaway, and the installation of an extraction system, which is the motor exercises, whatever it's called. It's just here, isn't it?
Yeah.
So change of use to a burger bar.
Well, Burger King's doing great trade, so it'll need some work for customers too.
I've been told they were queuing up all across.
Yeah, they were giving them away.
I knew made some here because the queue came right past.
Anyway, can we move on? I've got to tea.
Might still be open. Might still have a few of the iconic burgers left.
So what? This is changing it to takeaway and
It's a
eating.
burger cafe, I think. It's a dine-in. That's how it's been.
Where's it takeaway as well?
Eating and takeaway, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be on the route from the station on your bike and pop in and have a brew.
Yeah.
So they're not altering the building any shit or out
I
externally.
don't know yet. Look, I'm just trying to find it.
Change of use.
I'm not trying to rush us, Pete. But
I felt under no pressure whatsoever. Right, there we go. So it's existing, no significant change there. To the rear, there is the extraction detail, which is that big blue there. So no significant change to just a change of use.
Marlon,
And that the picture hopefully is a true reflection of, is that the roof of the entire building, so when the fumes or smells come out the top, they're not there isn't a
There isn't
they're
another
not
bit
flat
above, no.
above the-
No, it has to. A flue does have to produce.
Yes, yeah. It's just going up into the sky, not into anybody's back window.
the wind's blowing, it'll go into the youth centre.
Yeah.
When you're on the youth centre.
Anyway,
So we no comment to make on that one then?
It's just some ironic. I mean, the bit I talked about iconic burgers. Then this is an ironic burgers in the same. Because I mean, isn't it ironic that it's been changed from motorcycle or
Yeah.
some kind of exercise facility into something that's somebody may deem more suitable?
You can jog to get those burgers.
Right,
Yeah, before they run out. Yeah. Right, just a bit
right. Item 7. Thank you for that. Item 7. To note responses from the delegation, none. 8. To note and consider correspondence, etc. Crew deployment base off land off David Whitby Way. Well, we have the colleagues from the headquarters of the police in Winsford. And 8.2 is Cheshire East Vision for Transport consultation, which closes on the 21st of April.
Which are circulated to all members, so you can make comments accordingly if you have any to make.
Item 9, to note correspondence also with Cheshire East regarding planning enforcement and planning issues.
I've had no updates on any of the outstanding issues as yet. We're waiting for responses on a few sites.
Could I just say that the one that was in on Eaton Street, there's now movement, and we have a little bit of pavement showing now, so there is some activity. So that, which you may call, I may call people, from the 8th of December 24 is now getting some movement. Now, whether our combined efforts we've done recently has done that, who knows?
I visited, well, I did just happen to visit this afternoon on my way to another office in that vicinity, and it looked as if the bricks had been moved back off the street. The cones are now atop the bricks, but the street itself appears to be clear, and it's now only blocked by a large number of overflowing black bins.
Yeah, which need to be
on both sides of the road now, plus the alcove, which is full of stuff as well, which probably needs some attention.
Yeah, there's 2 lots in that street, aren't there? Right. So nothing else. So 10, to receive an update on the progress of the conservation area,
which I sent round in the pack to let you know we're still making progress. We're still trying. We've met again with Cheshire East officers to try and progress further. It was productive, if not at times a little bit concerning. The concepts of the conservation area based on Crewe as a very important company town historically, and how it's developed around a single company originally and then for others is important nationally. It's the second one in the world. So that's in there. However, because of the persistent erosion of the town's built heritage, it's hard to make a continuous conservation area across that space. So they're now conservation character areas within a conservation area. It's getting a bit technical for me, and equally Cheshire East conservation officers are, I don't mean this to be an emotive word, so it's too late in the day when you think about it. They're eroding the scale of it to fit their conservation narrative. And there's an academic argument on either side of that, but frankly, they're the planning authority. We have no powers in the law to challenge them. So we just have to present the evidence and hope they bite into it, which they are doing. There is positive engagement. It's just slow on both sides. I'm not blaming Cheshire East for this. However, I feel the last meeting made some strides forwards, and I would hope that we are now at a final draft we can submit to them very soon, which I'll circulate to members as soon as I receive it.
Okay, well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's goes all round, yeah. Yeah, thank you. If that makes it any better for Pete, thank you. We do recognise what you do, and it's nice to be mentioned in dispatches. Item 11 then. To note the proposed date of the next meeting would be the 28th of April.
Yeah.
And I'd like to thank you all for your...
Give my apologies
Oh,
in
no.
advance. I've got a charity event to
Okay.
go to that.
So I'd like to thank you for your attendance, and I think it's been quite an interesting meeting. And have a safe journey home.